I'm Beck and welcome to my reading goals for 2024. I want to start off with read 70 books. That's going to be my major goal, but the rest of these kind of came together after a little bit of thinking, so let's get into them. I looked at my stats for books I'd finished during 2023 so far, and these stats come from around mid-December because I'm filming this before the new year starts, and I have 44 physical books read and also 42 audiobooks read. And usually I would read physical books more often than audiobooks, but it was a fairly even split in 2023. But I want to make reading physical books a priority more so in 2024. Not that I'm unhappy with my results. Reading that many books is still a huge win, but I want to read more physical books during 2024. And I think that might mean like reading 10-15 minutes or so before I go to bed at night. And that way it will reduce the amount of time I also look at a screen. I don't think that will happen necessarily every night because obviously if you've got plans some nights, I know I do a workout class at night sometimes, I don't think it will happen every night, but I think just prioritizing reading instead of just bumming around on my phone is a good idea. My third goal is use my library more, and this was one of my goals during 2023 as well. And I think I hit this out of the park because pretty much all of the audiobooks that I read this year come from Libby, my library app. And I often used to check if I wanted to buy a book and I was getting caught up in the hype of it, I would go and I would check my library first to see if it was available there at all. Sometimes it wasn't, and I would just wait for the book to either go on sale or to borrow it from a friend, but a lot of the time it was actually available through my library. And also I put down more than 30 books during the entirety of 2023. So I'm like, this is a great tool for me to decide whether I love something or whether I'm not interested, because I might love the premise of a book, but then I might hate the writing style or just not like a particular character, or it would fall a little middle of the road for me and I just find it okay rather than amazing like I thought. So the fact that I've used Libby more in 2023, I want to carry that goal over into 2024 because not spending money on books unless I really, really want it is really benefiting me. That said, I do look at Booktopia and Dimmicks and all the books online and I still mentally add a lot of things to cart, but the fact that I can check Libby first kind of alleviates some of that I need to buy it stress. Also, just on that, I realized I borrowed a lot of audiobooks for books that I already owned. Just to name a few, I have Fevered Star, Terry Pratchett, Tessa Bailey, and I also borrowed Legends and Lattes again because I wanted to reread it as an audiobook when I was catching the train. So audiobooks have great merits and I want to be able to fit them around my physical reading, and I can do that with Libby. But speaking of physical reading, we come to my priority TBR, my to be read books for 2024. It's kind of obvious that I've got my to be read card in the background, but I want to prioritize Boundary Side by Robert Jackson Bennett. Starting this new series was a little bit daunting for me in the end of 2023. I am really struggling with wrapping up series and committing to reading books because we also were hosting Christmas for our entire family this year. So a lot of things were up in the air and being organized, and it was kind of too busy. So reading this in 2024 would be fantastic. This is an adult sci-fi book. I think it's about a thief going on a heist to get something from a warehouse, but when she goes to this warehouse, chaos ensues and there is a whole political intrigue and drama attached to this thing that she needs to steal. So I'm looking forward to the intrigue and the tension that builds in here because I loved City of Stairs by the same author, and I also intend to continue that series, but I want to start this one as well. Then I've also got The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson, which is his last Kickstarter book. I didn't quite get to it, but I got to his other 3 books. So I want to finish off his Kickstarter releases. I think out of all of them, everyone has said The Sunlit Man, I don't know anything about it presently, except that everyone has seemed to say that it's their favorite of all of the Kickstarter books, and it's mostly Cosmere focused, which is Brandon Sanderson's universe, or like multiverse almost. So I'm looking forward to The Sunlit Man, I think most out of all of them so far, but the other ones in his Kickstarter releases have not really been my cup of tea. So I'm really, really hoping that The Sunlit Man is my cup of tea. And then of course, for my priority TBR, we have Lady Chonk herself, A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is a very complicated high adult fantasy story. It is also the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, which is a standalone fantasy by the same author. And I've tried reading this twice so far and I haven't gotten into it, But I think if I chop this up and I put post-it notes in it for each chapter break, then I might have a kind of plan to approach this and read a certain amount of chapters either before I want to put it down or to get through all of the chapters within a year. So I will try and read this in 2024 and see how I go. I really hope it's not a did not finish. I want to keep reading it. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for myself because this is very intimidating. Then I have a pretty embarrassing goal. And that is, I've said I really want to read this series or continue reading this series for 2 years in a row, and I haven't been doing it. I haven't touched this series at all. I feel so ashamed and embarrassed about not reading further, and that is The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher, which is an urban fantasy series about a wizard detective fighting crime and supernatural. And I love this series. It is so fast-paced and snappy, and it's got great humor, and I just have not continued it because I was buddy reading it almost with Dave, and he goes in and out of reading phases. Obviously, we've had a lot of different life changes during the past couple of years, and we've just fallen off the bandwagon of reading it. So I was like, you know what? I've got all the audiobooks. I'm just going to reread all of them, starting from the very beginning, and that way I'll be refreshed and I can read the rest of the books that I haven't started yet that are in the later half of the series. I think I got 15 books into the series and then I stopped, which is embarrassing. I got up to Skin Game, I think, and that was one of the books that I didn't love, so I think that also kind of put me off a little bit, but I've had subpar ratings like once or twice during the series, and then across the board it's been 4 stars or above, so I just need to go back and reread it and reinvigorate my passion for it. So that is what I'm going to do in 2024. And then I did mention it very briefly earlier, but not as its own thing, and that is to DNF. So DNF is did not finish. Essentially, I want to DNF more books in 2024, and I've done like 30 plus DNFs during 2023, but some of them I really drew out, and I think I need to be more ruthless about putting books down, because I tried The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson 3 times in total. I was going to try it a 4th time with its audiobook, and then I was like, you know what, I kind of hate this. I'm not enjoying myself whatsoever. I just need to cut my losses. And once I cut my losses, I felt invigorated. I need to do more of that. And I think Justice of Kings is kind of similar for me because it's a fantasy book that I thought I would love. I'm not really interested in the writing style. So I think when it comes to books that I hate, like The Shadow Cabinet, and I want to be better, I want things to change about the plot that aren't changing, I'm like, I need to recognize my expectations for one thing, and I also need to recognize if the writing isn't working for me, or if the book is just okay and I'm not actually super motivated to read it, and it's impacting all of my other reading. So I think DNF books is a really high priority one for me, because if I cut the dead stuff off my to be read list, I grow further in what I want to read. So DNF is a goal. And we have the total opposite of DNF, and that is to continue some series. One of them would be a cozy fantasy series that I started in 2023 and then I did not continue reading. Usually I'm pretty good at continuing series, but these few have dropped off my radar. So this one is The House Witch, which was really cute and cozy, and it had a great cast of characters, and I didn't realize that it was a series when I started it. I thought it was like companions, because sometimes cozy fantasy books aren't direct sequels, they're more like companions, but nope, this one's a series. So I'm looking forward to continuing that one. And then I've also got The Fragile Threads of Power, which I embarrassingly did not start. And I even did a whole recap of the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy, and I didn't read Threads of Power for myself. So I enabled a whole lot of other people to read the Threads of Power, except me. So I need to read Threads of Power. Then of course I've got The City of Stairs on here as well. And then who does not like stats and lists? I looked at my history of 2023 and 2022 of reviews and recaps for books, and I was embarrassed at the amount that I hadn't done. I thought I did a lot more reviews than this. So in 2022, I did 7 book reviews. 4 of them were spoiler free, and they were Angry Planet, The Well of Ascension, Gallant, and The Final Empire. And then I've also got 2 spoiler reviews, and that was Caliban's War and Evershore, which is one of the Skyward novellas. Then I also did some spoiler content specific to just a particular book or trilogy. So I've got a Red Rising spoiler trilogy kind of discussion, and then I've also got The Lost Metal and a Cytonic spoiler vlog review almost of my thoughts as I'm reading those books. And then I've got one recap for for Ninth House, where I go over the entire plot so you're ready to read Hellbent. And that video has more than 10,000 views now. So obviously people are looking for recaps and spoiler reviews and reviews, but I barely did any during 2022. And then in 2023, I did six-ish reviews, given that one of them was for Finding Nemo. And then I've got one spoiler vlog for Fourth Wing, and then one spoiler recap, and that was the Darker Shades of Magic trilogy. I thought I did a lot more reviews than this, and ultimately I am shocked. So that brings me to my conclusion for the review part anyway, and that means I want to do 12 reviews over the period of 2024. I can surely do one review video per month for a spoiler-free review, but I kind of want to revitalize my blog a little bit as well, so if I can post in tandem on my blog or on my channel with different book reviews, at least that way I kind of vary the versatile content and I actually get more reviews out there, because I know that I like to Google people's spoiler reactions or spoiler thoughts to books that I've read, and I want to know what people are talking about in a spoiler-free sense about books I haven't. So that is ultimately what I search on YouTube, so people who are searching that aren't finding my videos because they don't exist yet. So I think reviews and potentially recaps, I want to do at least 2 in 2024. So 12 reviews, 2 recaps. I can do it. Surely I can do it, because they're missing from my channel and I thought I did that more often. So I need to do better. So overall, I'm kind of excited about those more content-focused ideas and goals for myself. And so the fact that I can make content that people will find my channel, I think is really interesting. So with all of that said, these are my reading goals for 2024. I'm so excited, but thank you so much for watching this video. I'll come chat to you down below in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.